Welcome back to Red Chip Fitness, guys. Avi this side. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the biggest differences between a split squat and a lunge. So both of these movements are the variation of the lower body movement lunge, which comes right after squat in terms of importance. So the most visible and evident difference between the two movements is that when I'm performing a split squat, the lunge I'm performing in there is happening in a stationary position, as you can see here. So once I've stepped forward, I have firmly planted my feet to whatever points they are, and they're not moving after that. I'm only lunging down and lunging up, finishing the repetitions with the same position. Whereas in an alternate lunge, I'm doing a more dynamic movement. I'm stepping forward, lunging down, and coming back to my initial stance where I was standing straight. So either I can perform the going back and forth with the same leg or with an alternate leg, basically a dynamic movement in contrary to a split squat. So guys, we're going to move further on this topic. We're going to discuss about more differences, more common points, and in the end we're going to decide which variation of the lunge is better than the other, which one to choose, which one not to choose. Now, talking about the split squat first, what are the possible variations inside the split squat? So there are three main variations. As you can see, the first one is the normal split squat, stationary at one point, doing repetitions, moving down and up. Second variation of a split squat is a front leg elevated split squat. You put some elevation right under your front leg, increasing the ROM, putting more stress on the front leg. Third variation of a split squat is a Bulgarian split squat, where you put your back leg on some elevation, again increasing the ROM and the depth of which you can go down, putting more stress on the rear leg in this case. So guys, these were the three possible and the most common variations of a split squat. Now we're going to discuss the advantages in a split squat. So guys, the first advantage is split squat is beginner friendly. You get to work on your balancing as it is a stationary movement. Second advantage is continuous muscle engagement, more muscle engagement, as in contrary of an alternate lunge where you're stepping back every time and you're disengaging your muscle groups for that particular microsecond. Whereas in a split squat, there's this continuous engagement of muscle group as you're holding the position, which leads to the third advantage of a split squat: more scope to grow muscle size and muscle mass. Now guys, since you're holding that stationary position, you can also include tempo training here. As you can see, in a tempo training, I'm slowing down the speed of my rep. I'm increasing the time under tension, or TUT, of my lower body while I'm performing the movement. So when I increase the TUT, I force my muscle groups and the muscle cells there to perform more work, which leads to enhancement of that particular muscle group's strength, endurance, and in the end, the overall growth. So guys, moving on to the contender of split squat, the lunge. Now let's talk about the possible variations of a lunge. Let's check them out. The first one is the forward lunge, where you're stepping forward and back. Second variation, the reverse lunge, where you're stepping back and coming forward. Third variation, the side or the lateral lunge, where you're stepping to the side. The fourth variation, alternate jump lunge, where you're including explosiveness. So guys, talking about the advantages of lunges now. The first visible advantage was that this movement is a multi-planar movement. As you could see, I was moving in multiple planes, moving forward, back and side, and jumping up also, which is going to train my body more about coordination and agility. Now the second advantage of this variation, that it's more dynamic. So guys, as you could see, there was more movement, more pausing, back, forward, side, and jumping up and down. So there's more explosive nature in this particular variation of lunge, which is going to lead us to the third and the final advantage. You'll be building strength not just in the muscles of your lower body, but also building strength in the bones of your lower body. As there's more explosiveness in this movement, you'll also be enhancing your bone density of the lower body. So guys, closing the topic now, moving on to the last thing, which variation is better over the other. So there's no answer to that, but if you have to choose which variation over the other, it's gonna entirely depending on your goals and your fitness level. Now, knowing all the pros and cons of both the variations, you can choose for yourself which variation you should be including in your workout program. Just a tip for the beginners: if you're starting with lunges, you should be starting with split squat first and then slowly moving on to an alternate lunge. So guys, that's it from my side. For the difference between both the variations, what's the best leg workout which you can do at your home, I'll be posting the link for the same in the description below. Until then, subscribe to the channel and see you soon.